providing value delivered and consistently increasing perceived value is really key component to not only securing renewals, but also to cultivate upsells and cross-sells. Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the great videos that we produce on customer success. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for TSIA's Interact conference. Session's topic today is innovating trends in providing value to customers. And I'm super excited to have been joined by some of the most forward thinkers in our customer success industry. Singh, Global VP of Customer Success at SAP, Keri Keeling, Global VP of Customer Success and Innovations and Intelligence at VMware, and Peter Armaly, Senior Director of Customer Success Enablement at Oracle. Thank you for joining us. My name is Irit Eizips, and I'm the Chief Customer Officer and CEO for CSM Practice. And today, providing value delivered and consistently increasing perceived value is really key component to not only securing renewals, but also to cultivate upsells and cross-sells. And proving value to customers has been one of the main challenges that the customer success teams had been struggling with throughout the years. So it's with great excitement that I have these wonderful co-presenters with me to share what some of the most innovative companies in the world are doing in that respect. And hopefully you will all have some outcomes to embed these new methodologies in your own organizations to help you with value management cycle frameworks, value management scoring, and demonstrating the value of the business outcomes you deliver to your customers in a quantifiable way. So I'd like to get started with what is a customer value cycle. So if you think about our regular customer lifecycle journey, it all starts with, selling to the customers and building out the expectations for the customer lifecycle at the very early stage. Sophisticated companies have customer success managers involved in that stage so that we can set up the right relationships as well as the right expectations with clients. And we might have a delivery stage where we actually deliver the systems or solutions to our customers before they even start using it. We go into an operationalization stage, which many of you call adoption. And then really in year one, we work very hard to get the client to adopt, especially if we have large number of end users that we're expecting to use the system. In parallel, some of you might have an implementation process, support, training, services, and motions of upsell and cross-sell that might be even delivered through your sales team. So this is usually what we're thinking about when we're looking at a year one customer lifecycle journey. But how do we explain customers the real role of customer success managers, which is at the epitome of it is to drive maximum value and increase perceived value to customers, as well as the actualization of those perceptions. We need to migrate from a life cycle journey and start talking to customers about the life cycle of a value conversation with them, which really happens in year two. In other words, if you show this or something similar to this to a customer in year one, it might make sense. But if the customer had been with you for 5-10 years, this journey may not resonate with them. So for that reason, I wanted to share something that we've constantly built for our clients, which is at CSM Practice, which is a value cycle that we present to customers. It starts with doing a business review. Many call it quarterly business review, annual planning, however it is. During those business reviews, we oftentimes allow our customers to see how they benchmark against other customers, whether it's data or a maturity scoring model. And then based on those conversations and those outcomes of what we identified as high priority, we might build a success plan. And hopefully after the success planning is over and we've actually achieved outcomes for our clients, we can capture those outcomes as moments of value. Now, in today's conversations, I have Peter, Keri, and Chris share how they not only score their customers for value, but how do they prove and quantify those outcomes to their clients, and how do they score the success plan itself? So without further ado, we'll start with Keri. Welcome, Keri.
Hi, how are you?
Very good. So talk to us about, how does VMware score the health of the customers, and a little bit differently than what most of customer success teams do? And can you show us some tangible examples of how do you help clients realize value, and how do you keep track of how much outcomes they're actually getting?
Yeah, absolutely. So VMware has recently released a new program for our customers called the VMware Success 360. And what I think is really exciting about this particular program is it's our commitment and our promise back to our customers. And this is where, usually customers make a commitment to that vendor, right? They sign our contracts and they agree to, consume our technology to solve their business problems in any way that they need to. VMware has taken the decision to actually reciprocate that, in that we've made this promise to our customers to ensure that they're gaining value, and we are maximizing our customers' value with all of our solutions. And so we have really kind of put ourselves on the hook, if you will, for ensuring that our customers are receiving that value. And in this program, we have grouped success planning, ongoing adoption guidance, design workshops, as well as dedicated and proactive support into one larger experience to our customers, so that we can really start to track and manage that value realization. And we do it through a number of different ways. But if we could go to the next slide, I'll show you a little bit about how we keep ourselves on the hook and ensure that we're continuing to drive goodness with our customers. So this is a sample of our customer health scorecard. And success planning, the outcomes of success planning, whether or not we're driving on maybe those projects or some of those activities that our customers will need us to engage with them in, so that they can continue to derive value, makes up 1/3 of our customers' health score. And I think that that's really quite fascinating, because in my mind, this is really like the hook of where we're keeping ourselves accountable. And I think that this is also really going to help our customers to ensure that we are driving their outcomes with them. The other 2/3 is really around the business value, which, as I mentioned, the experience value, and then the performance value. And so we can take a little bit deeper dive into the next slide, and I can describe more deeply what that means. So when you think about, what do we want to call them, the quadrants of the health score, business value, this is really about, is the customer progressing and towards the path of reaching the milestones as planned? And as we all know, the success plan is really predicated on achieving those milestones, right? That's that driving of the goodness that I mentioned. Performance value is really predicated on delivering the results that the customer is expecting. So how are we performing against that, right? And obviously we want the customer to continue to extract more and more value. So we score ourselves pretty stringently on that performance. And then lastly, it's the experience value. Is every engagement that we have with our customer and with, that our customers have with our products, does that drive value and a positive experience for them? So then lastly, if we take a look at the final slide here, so we actually take this health scorecard and share it with our customers. And we do that by way of the business review. And these critical measures are really where we drive our customer conversations. And so you can see kind of how we measure what's on track, what's not on track, if we've got something that's delayed. And again, we have those conversations with the customers. Sometimes, obviously milestones and maybe even the roadblockers to achieving those milestones, sometimes they're on the vendor side, sometimes they're on the customer side. And so this the scorecard methodology and how we are driving the value insights with our customers enable us to have those really deep strategic conversations with our customers, in that removing any roadblocks that we may experience, maybe the roadblocks with the customer, as I mentioned, right? How do we work with them to help them achieve their outcomes? And so we use this as a methodology and guiding principles to have those conversations to ensure that we're continuously driving value with our customers. And this isn't just on a per product basis. This is for all products. So a customer that may be subscribing to one of our products or 15 of our products, we treat them all pretty much the same. So with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. Peter, you guys are really good at scoring success plans for customers as well, and you do it in a bit more of a detailed manner. Would you go into how do you assess at Oracle customers' health by tracking and scoring plans for the success of your customers?
Sure. Thank you, Irit, and hello, everybody. I'm happy to talk about this topic, and I think it's helpful if I just start at the basis of how we enable our CSMs to think about success plans with customers. We like to have them understand that really to bring value to the customer relationship, you have to get the customers excited about this journey with you as a vendor and with the solution that you're selling them on, and all the process that's going to take place to get them to a point of value. And so we like to think of it as a story. So the customer journey really needs to be a story, and a success plan is the core kind of theme of the story. And it's really, we repeat it constantly. The success plan is the core deliverable that guides the whole story forward. And so when we think of the customer's journey with respect to customer success, our organization, we break it into implementation, value realization, and renewal, those three phases. And then underlaying that are these engage, implement, adopt, confirm value, and optimize and innovate. And those are really customer-centered activities. So that's what they go through within those phases. And then underneath each of those things, this is just an example that you see on the screen, there's a whole variety of discrete services and activities that take place within those specific kind of I call them customer-centered activities: engage, implement, adopt, confirm value, and optimize. So there's too many to present on this screen, but they comprise the overall practice of ours. And I think it's important to just point out that where the CSM finds themselves helping the customer in the journey dictates how they will communicate progress of the success plan. This is just an example of a dashboard that will not show up actually in the success plan. So this is just a way for us to kind of keep track with the customer of the progress of the activities that comprise the milestones that need to be achieved for the goals that are described in the success plan. So we get very granular with the activities and we walk them through for the last 3 months. These are the important elements and items that we worked on together to achieve or not achieve specific milestones that we were expecting to achieve at this particular point in your journey. And this is very powerful, we believe, because it allows the CSM or enables them to have an opportunity to have a fulsome conversation about these things and how each of these items factors into the ability of the customer to move forward to the next phase of the journey. So I'd like to just conclude by saying, I think it helps our CSMs to understand that the journey is really a journey towards success for the customer. And, it contains many episodes, and that when you meet with the customer on a quarterly basis, let's say, and you talk about the success plan, you show them a report card or a dashboard, that's the conclusion of an episode. And what you're laying forward is a plan and kind of a preview of the next episode that you'll review in the next 3 months. And so it helps us kind of engage the customer, if we think of it that way, and kind of inspire them to engage even further with us. And on that, I'll just pass it back to you, Irit.
Excellent. So we've seen how VMware created their own dashboard, not just to track success plans, but the overall value that they bring to the customers to hold their own organization accountable. We've seen how Oracle developed this very detailed success plan scoring that they can track internally or share with customers to foster accountability on the client side, as well as the CSM to drive success plans to completion, as well as get success for clients overall. And then now it's with great pleasure, Chris, could you go into how SAP takes the time to score specific value for customers to see how much value does a customer get out of the maximum outcomes that they achieve, and how do you leverage customer data to perform these benchmarks for customers in order to drive adoption discussions, increase consumption, and quantify the business outcomes that your CSM help achieve for each customer?
Thank you very much, Irit. If you look at our journey in the cloud, quite often I was confronted, or we were confronted with a couple of business scenarios. One, customers were coming back saying they love their customer success managers, but yet at renewal time, it was a non-renewal. So likability did not equate to value. We found that out quite early. The second part was, if you look at the health score, traditional health scores, quite often you will get a green score and you think you're doing quite well. But when you get to a customer discussion on outcome, what specific prescribed outcome have you driven for my business in terms of employee engagement, their customer engagement, return on investment, revenue expansion? The answer was, we did a lot, but we could never quantify what those values were. So we set the task to say, look, we believe very strongly that we have some of the best assets in customer success that we're delivering to customers. It's been proven over time by many industries and many companies consuming certain kinds of assets. We know that those assets, if consumed with regularity, is going to drive a certain area of outcome for the customers. So we wanted to, in one quadrant, say those values and those assets, we firmly believe in them, and we firmly believe in you consuming them to result. So that's one area we wanted to absolutely track with our customers to make sure that they were consuming the assets we were bringing. The other part was, if you look at specific business scenarios in terms of finance, as an example, how quickly were we closing their books? Are they posting it faster? And in quantifying a benchmark that says today you are here and tomorrow you are so much better, 2 times faster, 20% faster. And what does that translate to in terms of a return on investment in either human capital, in terms of some customers have a vendor income management where they get rebates from their vendors, as an example. It's a just-in-time model, meaning that they must submit those rebates at certain time to get a rebate back, or it expires. Are you hitting the mark when you post your books and you close your books faster so you get those rebates, as an example? Can we catch it? Can we quantify that as an explicit business value? So we went into value mining at the business outcome level per business process, not even at the solution level. We went down to the business process level, because in an order to cash process, you may cross 2 or 3 solutions to come back with a business result. So we wanted to also put a traceability in there. And how were we capturing it to reflect it as a score? And what you see on the screen here, it's an example. On the left-hand side, it's incumbent on capturing certain task-based things in the success plan. But additionally, where we got really tough with our CSMs and to improve upon our methodologies was to now bring explicit KPIs that were centered in around realizing business goal per solution type, per business process. So we could go down to that business process level and interrogate the efficacy of that business process and what you saw as a result. And in here is just a sample of what a customer will see. Of course, we adapt it a little bit differently for customer consumption, but this is just a generalized way you will get a value scoring from us, from SAP Preferred Success as an example. On this slide, each one of these quadrants represents different areas, that 4 panels of value. If you look at the experiential side, we have the good fortune in SAP to own Qualtrics as an example. So we have embedded this experiential surveys at the end of certain kinds of asset delivery, where we can pull it back on the right-hand side there, where we can pull it back to exactly what the customer sentiment is as it explicitly applies to something delivered. So it's not just, did you like it, yes or no? Did it derive the value you anticipated that this service we provided to you? So if you look at something like a business process optimization, pre-optimization, you were at X value. Post-optimization, you're at Y value. And then we overlay it with the experiential survey. You then get a combination of the experiential side, but the OData side, in terms of really now the operational data to now quantify that value, is firmly established, where you can say, yes, your business process resulted in your books closing, 20% faster, as an example, or you recruited 30 times faster than you normally would, or 30%, than you would, as an example. So those realization of business goals on the left-hand side are very KPI-centric. In each one of the services we have built, we know exactly what KPI we think you can gain from running some of those assets. And once we run it, we benchmark you exactly against what the achievement was. So we can extrapolate the scoring in there. In adoption and consumption, usually companies view adoption and consumption as the customers, but it's really to the vendor's value in adopting and consuming. But what is the adoption and consumption realizing for our customers? And it's the output of that we are now coming back and saying, look, here's what it has done for you explicitly as it applies to realization of business goals. Because they go hand in hand. You have to consume the innovations that are within to expand your business processes, and they're fluid in the cloud. They come fast and furious. So how are you consuming them, quantifying them, and replaying an explicit value back to the customers? And this is the stance we took, because quite often we needed the health score to be an indicator of what plays is necessary to instill some health in the customers, but we never found that there was a direct correlation or a guarantee that a green health score equated with explicit value for customers. The value may have been there, but we could have never quantified it. Now we are value mining. We can come back with absolute, irrefutable values. We can present at the QBRs, as Peter has indicated, and there we can have a really objective discussion rather than subjective one of, I like my CSM, or I think you guys are doing okay. We're now going to explicit traceability. What this also does, if you can imagine a QBR, you've got admins in there, you've got senior executives in there, you've got IT, you've got business, everybody combining to orchestrate for those customers. It keeps everybody honest in there, because it is a two-way street. So for example, under provision of guidance and knowledge, if the customers are not taking use of learning materials, and they're saying the systems are complex or the solutions are complex, then definitely that's an indicator of, look, you're really not going into the webinars, you're not going into the communities that are open to you and have access to you. We have a traceability in there where we can tell whether or not your admins are logging in and using it for purpose. So in that conversation, we can keep each other honest on saying, we also need your participation in these assets that you're not consuming to the degree that you need to. So in those 4 major categories, we are quantifying and replaying it back explicitly to the customer, so we can advance the conversation to be much more objective rather than a subjective look and feel. The other thing we have done, we have taken scoring, the value scoring, and we have done a blind comparison where we said, look, let's pick a number of customers and see what their customer effort score is. So twice a year, we will poll the customers in SAP and really get a sense of what value score they gave us. Without fail, 100% scoring in if the value score was low, we saw the customer comment back in several areas as being low. So that was definitely a correlation there. If you also look at the health score, sometimes you would also see a health score that was suspect, but quite honestly, it really paired up really well with the polling that we have done for the customers in really quantifying back that validated that this was the approach to take with our customers, because clearly the value score represented where the customer achievements are, and in their achievement, it should advance their business. We also took it one step further. We then looked at customers that churn, and we also did a correlation between customer effort score, which is NPS traditionally, against the value score and against the renewals. And it was a straight line, I tell you. So there was no major deviation from one. If you saw a red, it was a red, and it was a red. And the value scoring was done independent of the health score, but it sort of reaffirmed that what we have put in place was definitely the path to take, because we needed that confirmation before we release it to customers.
Thank you so much, Chris. Yes, this was so insightful. I want to thank Chris, Keri, and Peter for sharing your innovative approach to quantifying business value that we achieve for customers and making sure our team is accountable to driving maximum value for our customers.